discuss long-term water issues. Some of the individuals that we've talked to today have indicated that, is it about the Hickory? Not exactly. Is it about water restrictions? No, it's not about water restrictions. Today at 1:30 in the cities of Midland and Abilene, there's actually a press conference occurring as we speak to discuss the very issue that we're here to talk to you about today. Over the last few months, the mayors, city managers, and water utility directors have been talking to each other regarding our long-term water issues and opportunities for our communities to work together. On this upcoming agenda in San Angelo, we're actually going to have an item to enter into a interlocal agreement with the cities of Midland and Abilene to discuss long-term water issues and how we can work together collectively to solve those issues and benefit the citizens of each of our communities. At this point, I'm going to turn it over to Mayor Alvin. He's been active in these discussions, and he can talk more in depth about this, and we'll be happy to answer any questions that you have once we get through. Mayor?
Okay. So we're excited to just start a process with two other communities in West Texas that allow us to look at the resources available from more than one community's perspective. It also allows us to look at what the opportunities are for West Texas regionally, and this process starts somewhere. We look at this as a walk, crawl, run type of environment, and so we are starting with Abilene and Midland. It's not exclusive of others or trying to put something together that no one else can know about or be part of. It is the first step in regionalizing the water process to make sure that we have secure, dependable water for all of West Texas. We realize that we have political needs that are very similar, so that as other communities downstream of the Brazos River for Abilene and the Colorado River for Midland and San Angelo, as people that are downstream look for what they need in water resources along the I-35 corridor, this allows the West Texas group to speak in unison about what's necessary for West Texas. And when we think about what our political opportunities are with 20 or so representatives in West Texas versus 130 in the rest of the state downstream from us, we want to make sure that we're all working together to take care of West Texas interests as it relates to natural resources. So the process, we started by inviting Midland over. They came and were interested. We then collectively with Midland invited Abilene and brought them to San Angelo. After that meeting, we agreed that the water utility directors would meet independently and start talking about what might make sense collectively. And the city managers also met independently to do the same. And then we set together a new meeting, or a meeting in Abilene, Texas, with all the city managers, water utility directors, and mayors to further the discussions. We believe now that we're at the right point to enter into an interlocal agreement between the three cities that allows us to utilize resources and to engage with an engineering firm to decide what water resources make sense to the three communities, what each of the three communities brings to this relationship, what the future needs of the area will be, and for us to start down the path of preparing for those future needs. So I think now at this time it's best for us just to take questions.
Now, why Abilene and Midland first?
Okay. Abilene is 90 miles up the road, Midland 110 miles up the road, and so when you look at cities that are our size, it has a lot to do with just the geographic proximity that made it those two cities versus other cities. There's one other relationship because again it's just a matter of starting somewhere, right? And we thought of Midland and we thought of Abilene and asked them to join with us. But another community in the area that's similar in size would be Odessa. Odessa is already in a relationship with Snyder and Big Spring for water resources and water sourcing. So that made it more normal, if you will, for us to approach Midland.
There's also a history of those cities working together. Midland and Abilene and San Angelo are partners in Lake Ivy, and so there's a bit of a history. This is just formalizing that relationship as really into more of a long-term project.
What do you see your long-term goals coming out of this?
Well, each city has been working on its own independent needs, and so, for instance, here in San Angelo, we recently passed the extension of the half-cent sales tax, and that allows us to continue the process of bringing Hickory Aquifer water to San Angelo. So we have our reservoirs here in the community, and our relationship with those cities and with CMRWD as it relates to Ivy Reservoir, and we've now are adding the Hickory Aquifer underground water resources to our needs. But what this allows us to do is look for other opportunities as these communities continue to grow, and as jobs are created in West Texas and population is created, water needs will continue to be important.
Now, I know y'all just started, meeting, and I don't know how long y'all been talking. What are maybe some of the conversations that have come out of your meetings? Maybe some stuff that, maybe that you haven't thought of before? Is there maybe some stuff that is coming out of this already?
Well, I think from my perspective, what comes out of it is that we all think it needs to be a regional approach because of the small communities in West Texas that are around each of us. All of us think there may be a time where treating water for other smaller communities in the area could make sense because of the increases in requirement from the Environmental Protection Agency, or the TCEQ, making it more expensive and more difficult for a smaller community to meet the criteria, might therefore make it more efficient and effective for a community our size to help surrounding smaller communities. And this is, again, a step. It's crawl, walk, run. What do we do? Well, first let's put 3 communities together and start talking about what water resources are available to those 3 communities and what could they do collectively to take care of regional water needs, and then we'll move forward to include more in the process. So, okay.
I think part of that, the answer to that question, is something that the mayor stated when he talked about competition for water resources. As we look into the future, the competition for water is going to grow tremendous. I mean, we're already seeing that competition. And so when you talk about what can you do, I think the immediate impact is a legislative issue, in the sense of how can we work collectively to ensure that we're all protecting our respective communities. And if there is a day when there's larger groups that start moving west, it gives us the ability to work with those other communities to really help protect our communities in terms of water resources, but then also secure those resources collectively, which can benefit the citizens of those communities financially if we can structure the relationship appropriately.
Now, and follow up, you asked what have we learned? Well, I had no idea what Midland was looking at as a possible future water resource. And they have underground wells or underground water that they've purchased in Winkler County, or in that area out by Kermit and Wink in that area. And they also have other prospects. We also learned from Abilene that their idea for where they are going is another reservoir to be built in the Brazos River Authority area. And so they're about to start the permitting process for a reservoir northeast of Abilene. Just understanding what they are looking for and at to meet their needs helps us to see a bigger picture than just looking at things from our own perspective only. So each of those things brings some opportunity for San Angelo to consider involvement. If we were involved in the development of water for Midland, for instance, with their well field, or involved with water development for Abilene with their reservoir, if those things did come to pass and we chose to participate as a community with our citizens being involved in that process, if we chose to be involved as a community, then we could consider trading, for instance, the water they currently get out of Ivy and have more water from Ivy come to San Angelo and let them take more water from their new water resource. So just the idea of working collectively allows us some flexibility of thought and allows us to see the world in a bigger way.
The one thing that we've talked about that I think it's important for everyone is when we talk about the Hickory, and we talk about a water supply 25, 30 years out, when we talk about this relationship, what we're really talking about is working within the communities to secure water supplies 50, 75, 100 years out. And so this is really looking out substantially in the future and how we can work together. And if we can secure that need for our community, that really, I think, gives us a lot of opportunities as individual communities, but collectively as a region. And I think that's where we all see a lot of benefit from this type of agreement.
Can you put in the consideration to about with the area?
So again, other communities like Del Rio or any number of communities that are in the general West Texas area, and particularly those smaller communities that are in the immediate vicinity of Midland or Abilene or San Angelo, we are definitely going to be sure that we're in contact and that we are communicating with those communities. But back to what I said a while ago, it's difficult enough to learn how to work as a group of 3 cities and start a process. And so after we get our hands around that a little, then we can look at how do we expand this interaction with other communities.
Would it be safe to say that with this collaboration that you'll also have a greater or a louder voice in the legislature?
Well, one assumes so, and we just know that we have, we really need to be sure that West Texas is speaking with one voice and that we're all communicating with each other. Again, if there are 130 representatives from other parts of the state and large contingents of representation from San Antonio, just that city, from Austin, just that city, and Austin is downstream on the Colorado River from us, it makes sense then if there are only going to be 19 or 20 legislative districts in West Texas, it would be best for us to be coordinated in our efforts. So right now what we're entering into is an interlocal agreement that just allows a formalizing of the agreement to say we agree to work with each other to determine what the water resources are that are available to each and all of us, and to pursue whether it makes sense to do anything together towards the procurement of that water and the delivery of that water, and that we would enter into an agreement to spend some money each community on a 1/3 basis, entering into a relationship where engineers are used to determine what is available to us and those kinds of things. Okay? Do you want to expound on that, or did I?
No, I think we're good. Again, that just has to go before
Each of the 3 councils have to agree that this is a good idea. So okay, so it's in a way that's a next steps question. And next steps are meeting again this summer. We intend to bring some of the natural resources committee members from the Texas legislature after the session is over to talk about the water law that has been put into action, and to talk about what we are doing in West Texas to meet our future water needs. And so that process is being worked on right now. So invitations are out to the governor, to the lieutenant governor, to Senator Frazier, who's the senator who's the chairman of the Natural Resource Committee and represents Abilene, to put together this type of community effort, which will allow also other communities in this area around these 3 cities to come to a conference and start seeing what we're trying to accomplish and how we intend to work together collectively as a region.
Also, from a technical standpoint, one of the things that we're looking at is bringing on board an engineering group and some attorneys to work through some of the legal issues and engineering issues. And once they get in and they're able to actually do the work, that would really give us a better sense in terms of a time frame and what really is rising to the surface and for immediate attention, and we can look into the future. So that's really going to be the first step, is getting those groups on board and start working with us to help us look at opportunities. I think we've all agreed that we said really we're going to look at everything. And then it's those items that really rise to the surface for us to work collectively on, we will move forward with. And so that work will dictate the future and the future timeline. Feel free to call us if you have any questions. This will be on the agenda next Tuesday on the I was going to say regularly scheduled council meeting, but it's actually delayed a week because of spring break, but it will be on the next council agenda.
Okay, thank y'all very much.